So I'd like to have a conversation with you all so that you all can understand where I am right now, what I'm considering, and how I potentially may move forward. But before I do, if you all are brand new to the channel, my name is Catrice. Welcome to Cocktail with Catrice. Normally, energy's high. I'm doing great. That is not the case today. Now, I'm not doing bad, all right? But I want to just share with you all mentally, emotionally, spiritually where I am, and my thoughts about the recent events that have come out within church news, okay? Now, I want to start off by saying that I am going to take full accountability and where everything is on my end of the camera. I personally feel like I have limited myself to just church content when there's so much more going on out here. And I'm not saying I'm going to be branching out into 4 or 5 different niches, but I might try some different things, so y'all stay tuned. I don't know yet. I have not decided, but that's kind of where my mind is right now because I feel like I'm so limited. And how do I say this to you? I feel like I'm not bringing any positive news to you all, and that really saddens me. So let's go back to circa June 2022-ish. I was talking about, and will still always talk about, and will always put in the forefront that we want justice for Jason. Hashtag Michelle Loud here. She is our resident little sister. She will always be. But we were talking about the Cora Jake situation, Michelle Loud situation, and really started to gain some buzz there. And what I've noticed is that, like, I was having a conversation with my sister one time, and she said, your channel is going to do fine because there's no short of scandal. Like, there's going to be some pastor that gets into, you know, to social media news or gets exposed, and you might have to cover it. And at the time, I'm going to be honest with you all, I really was just like, I doubt it's going to be that bad. I really doubt it's going to be that bad. Boy, was I wrong. Since June of 2022, I have been covering the pastors, the bishops, the leaders, the apostles, the chief apostles, the overseers. I have been covering them nonstop. Not as consistently as I would like to sometimes, because I do have a job outside of YouTube, but I try to do what I can. And this past Saturday, I went live and I recorded for you all. We were talking about Pastor, Dr., apparently Bishop Joel Tubman, and Pastor Robert Morris. Joel Tubman is now the assistant senior pastor of the Faith Center in Sunrise, Florida. And Pastor Robert Morris, as most of you all know, is no longer the pastor of Gateway Church in Texas. He has been let go, okay? And he has been denied his severance package. That was what I was supposed to come online on this past Saturday to discuss with you all, was the fact that Pastor Robert Morris has been denied. Now, mind you, the mind of God is worth over, I think, probably over 150 million at this point, right? I think 2021, what do they call that? His net worth was like 117 million, something like that. So the man of God he's not broke. But that was what I was supposed to come online to talk about on Saturday. What ended up happening is I started to share more about, you know, all of the mishaps in the church at the Highlands, all these different things, how he was on the board, and I become very passionate about these topics. So much so that this past Saturday, now normally when I'm done recording, girl, I can grab my purse, grab my keys, grab my headphones to put in while I can listen to content when I'm at a restaurant or something, or just leave, do my thing, go on a date even, and not think about anything that I just talked about on YouTube. This past Saturday, instead of doing that, I stayed in the house. I canceled my evening plans and I took a 2-hour nap. For the most part, what I did was I shut myself in for the majority of the weekend. Saturday after I took my nap, I told my friend, hey, listen, it's not going to be a go today. I cannot do it. I'm just emotionally and mentally just spent. It's too much going on right now. I don't really want to talk about it. And that night I tried to record several videos for YouTube that will never see the light of day because it was late. I was trying to do like an impromptu thing. It was cute, but I just wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling the footage. So, but as I look back, right, I'm thinking like, it's been nonstop. The majority, men of God, who have been caught in scandal. And it's like over and over and over and over and over again. It's been nonstop. It has been to the point where it's like, at this point, do you all even have a conscience at all? Like, do you all not care at all about how you're making God and the church look? Like, what's the deal? That's the biggest piece to the puzzle for me. It's like, how do you all think this is making God and the entire body look from an outside standpoint? And in talking to one of my friends last night, I had an epiphany about everything. And that is, I think that, especially when it comes down to the parishioner standpoint, or those who are on the board or in leadership along with said pastor, bishop, or overseer, I think that the word accountability bothers some people. I really do. I think that people become afraid of the word accountability because in their minds that means being disrespectful to said pastor, bishop, or overseer. And talking to one of my good friends yesterday, actually last night, he and I were talking about, church things, catching up. I found out about the bishop that just recently passed away, that apparently he was a gospel artist and he traveled with Hezekiah Walker. I personally didn't know nothing about it. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Sorry. Not interested in covering that either. Sorry. But in talking to my friend last night, I realized that he is in the ministry. I don't want to say what kind of position that he has, but he lost his position within the last 8 months at one of the churches that he was at. And when I was talking to him about it, I said, well, what have you talked to the pastor about it? And if so, like, what were his thoughts? Like, because he ultimately had a say-so in this at some point in time. He goes, well, I don't think he knew anything about it. And I said, well, you do. I feel like you might need to hold him accountable. He says, well, I'm not going to disrespect the bishop. That was his first go-to. It was not, well, I don't know how I should hold him accountable, X, Y, and Z. It was like, I don't want to disrespect him. And I said, accountability does not mean disrespect. It doesn't have to have a negative connotation to it. It just means if you have questions, that you get answers to your questions. So, hey, Bishop, can we have a meeting? Can we have a conversation? I'm a little confused about why I was here in this position at this moment and then here at this moment. And explaining that to him, he then understood where I was coming from and said, yeah, I get it. And he said, you're right. But I said, I'm not trying to say that you need to yell at your bishop, curse him out. Just ask the necessary questions so that you can get the necessary answers to it. It doesn't mean that you're being mean or disrespectful. And by the end of the conversation, although he's not going to do it, he understood better where I was coming from. Now, I'm saying this now because I'm almost 10 years clean and sober from the church. And I wish that at the time where I needed a break from my church and I took that sabbatical that ended up being 9 years later, that I would have done just that. And so I think that's why God has me doing this, but I don't always fully understand why. So let's talk a little bit about how I feel like the church content niche has been bothering me. And that is, just like I said to you all a few minutes ago, it would be nice every now and then to cover a story about a pastor or a bishop who have done amazing work, that have been, you know, out here doing X, Y, Z for their community. It's all on social media. People are highlighting it. They do tend to highlight more of the exposure portion or the negative things about social media, about the pastors on social media, which is mostly what I get. I don't really get a lot of the positive stories. I have tried my best to find stories that are positive, to highlight them, but they are slim to none on social media. And keep in mind that the Wise Counsel and Street Committee send me information. I vet the information. I research the information. I even go onto their pages. I look and see what's going on, just so that I have an understanding to bring it to the channel. I just don't throw things on YouTube because I feel like that's being disingenuous. And I want people to know that I'm credible. So you all can probably understand how discussing negative things about the church all the time, about an institution that I believed in for a lot of years. I still believe in the institution. I believe more heavily in God and having my own personal relationship with God rather than the institution of the church. But I do still believe in the institution. I believe that it could be better. I believe that, you know, change can happen. I believe that people can just live the life that they're preaching about. However, we're all human. People make mistakes. I get it. No one's perfect, not even me. I know, I'm just joking. But I'm definitely not perfect either. But I just wish that people would take more time out to, if you're gonna be a pastor, if you're gonna be a leader, if you're gonna start a church on your own, to make sure that you're living the life that is pleasing to God. Keep in mind that when I was in ministry, I was more than accountable all the time. It was also to my detriment, because I was not the parishioner that was going to put on a face for you. I was not the parishioner that was going to walk in and pretend like I was perfect, that there was no problems, there was no issue. I didn't just mess up the night before. I didn't have that in me to do. And I always share with you all the story about when my senior pastor had us doing communion every Sunday for a year. And there were times where I did not take it. I was there active in the church. I was sitting there, but I was like, I cannot take communion knowing that I'm not living correctly. Now, don't get me wrong. I knew a lot of tea, a lot of gossip in the church. I saw people, like I knew of one lady who was in the same, I don't want to say the position, but the same position that I was in the church. And she was a single woman, but she was actively sleeping with a married man. Like she was actively, now I did that as well before. I've been honest about that on the channel. It's not something that I'm proud of, but it happened. But it wasn't like a continuous relationship. This was like her only serious relationship was like with this married man. They had been together for like 30 years. And I was like, but I never judged it or whatever. So, but I'm saying this all to say that I wanted to make sure that I was doing what I needed to do. Despite knowing other tea, a lot of other tea, I never was the type of person to judge. Now, I will say this though. I have been checking out other channels here on YouTube. There are very brand new channels, mostly male dominated, which is fine. I know the women of God love men. That's why I don't get upset about my numbers. Because some people just don't like me. I really don't care. But I see the commentary. I watched some of the videos. And then I started to examine myself. You all can comment down below if you agree with me or not, but I'm going to be 100% honest with you all right now. I started to feel like I started judging people. I feel like I come across a little judgy sometimes, and I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to, like, because I'm not God, right? And so, and watching other people's commentary and like, ooh, they come across a little bit too much. Let me check out my own content. Like, let me see how I come across. And I don't want to come across like I'm judging people. I don't want to come across like I am the end all be all when it comes down to the female standpoint of church content. Because that's completely not the case. And I don't want to feel like, that. Lastly, I want to share with you all how depression and anxiety limit and I don't want to say that it's like I'm allowing it to take over, but there are times when I just have no motivation to go live or to press record. But it is to the point now where if I'm not feeling it, if I'm feeling depressed, if I'm feeling down or super anxious, even if it's breaking news, I still don't go live. I still don't press record because I don't want that to be reflective on the video, or that's the energy that I'm giving off on camera. Like, I like to really give like an upbeat, positive disposition. And when I'm not in that frame of mind, I just can't do it. Now, I'm not going to say that I've never gone live when I've been a little depressed, but I mask it really well. But if I'm feeling truly down in the dumps, I don't go live. I will not do that to myself, and I'm definitely not going to do it to you. Okay? So that does play a big part for me as to why sometimes you all don't see me for a while. And a lot of you all know between April and now it's June that I was in full transition of my housing situation. So it was like I wasn't able to go live as much because I didn't feel stable. I didn't feel set. I shared with you all what was going on with me. I gave you all my raw emotions. I just had to be as authentic as possible. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback behind it. People really, for the most part, I would say they appreciated the fact that I shared that part of my life, because let's be honest, like when you press record and you go live, because you're on YouTube, people assume that you are a thought leader. They think that you are a leader of some sort. They take your word at face value and they think your life is perfect. And it's not. Like, I live a regular life. I don't live this 5-star luxury I'm an average person. I just so happen to go live on YouTube and I share my thoughts about the church and the injustices that happen in the church. But let's be clear, I live in an apartment. I drive a regular car. Like, I'm not that flashy type of person. One thing that I am appreciative about it is during that time and that point in time in my life, a lot of people came out of the woodworks, out of the bushes, and they were extremely supportive for me. And it made me feel like I could share more. And that's why I wanted to share with you all that when I am feeling not myself, if I'm feeling depressed, because I've been open about, you know, having depression. I've struggled with depression since I was in probably high school, maybe middle school into high school. So for me, it's like, I'm not gonna say it's a part of who I am because I don't like taking ownership of it, but it definitely it's a small percentage of my life, and I don't believe in sharing that part with you all when it's in its worst state when I go live or press record. So that's just me, like, really trying to shield that from you all and give you all the best possible content, unless I really have to go live, like really have to go live. Moving forward, I have to try to figure out what I want to do. So that means I don't exactly know what I want to do. There's so many different things in my mind as to how I want to pivot the content. One of my mutuals here on YouTube back in August of 2023 shared, you know, some things that I might want to do, that I might even take them up on attempting to do, but I'm not really for sure exactly what direction I want to go to. I love talking about, you all might be like, oh God. I do like talking about male-female dynamics, manosphere stuff, but I don't want to pivot my channel to the point where people think that I'm a man-hating black woman, because I'm not. However, there's a lot of things that I really want to share and viewpoints, and I just know that at that point I'm going to start attracting a different type of audience, and because I'm in the chats of other people's content in the manosphere, and I realize that it is not a place that a black woman gets a lot of positive feedback. And especially not one that has a big mouth like me. So anyway, y'all, I hope that this video finds you all well. I love you all so much, especially those of you all who have been riding with me. Shout out to the patrons. They have been riding with me. I just got breaking news while I was recording this, so I have to look into that about Pastor Tony Evans. So y'all just keep your girl in prayer. Again, I don't want this to just be a church channel, and that's what it's become. But I mean, that's my background. That's my experience. So I mean, I talk about what I know. I don't talk about what I don't want to do, what I don't know. And so I just want to give you all the best possible information that's out there. All right. And yeah, we shall see what God is going to do, because it's ultimately up to him. I feel like he's trying to shield me from like, because on TikTok, when I do post a video about the manosphere or about, you know, the different guys in the red pill, you know, surprisingly, I get some feedback, but not the feedback that I expect. So that's a good thing. That right there is a good thing. Anyway, I will see you all soon. Drop down in the comments and let me know what you think about this video, and I will see you all shortly. Love you. Bye.